world is headed for nuclear war and massive depopulation, being overrun at the southern border by the nation's poor and terrorists. The U.S. Constitution and our freedoms has begun. Collapsing of the U.S. dollar and its status as world's reserve currency is about to happen. To finalize your prepping plans now. The government is preparing for civil war, which is fixing to break out. COVID lockdowns, along with climate change lockdowns in 15-minute cities, are coming. Being used as a weapon of war and leading to famine has begun. Get ready. It is on its way. Prepare, get off grid, and get out of the system. Hello everybody, welcome to the Tribulation Institute. What I'd like to talk to you today about is when the mainstream media, such as Fox News and others, are talking on a daily basis and continually about all the things that pertain to bringing in the New World Order, then I think that shows me is that we're getting closer to that happening. Does that mean tomorrow? No. Next week? No. And it's probably at the end of World War III that has begun in Ukraine, and when it becomes nuclear. And you might want to know, what do I mean exactly by the New World, bringing in a New World Order? What does that mean? Well, the New World Order is the end of nation states around the world, the end of borders, right? And the end of countries and nation states having their own separate armies from that of the United Nations. And it also, which we'll get into later, it means the bringing in of the New World Order religion, which is basically Gaia, which is tied to climate change. And if you'll notice, the news agencies are always talking about the border crisis. They're talking about now how that, not the majority, but a lot of those coming in through our southern border are M13, terrorist groups, gangs, drugs. And you know, this didn't start with the current administration, the Biden administration, but it started way back with the Obama administration that started letting in Islamic terrorists into this country. You know, the elimination of borders, which is what this is all about, will come at the end of World War III. Like I said, to bring the peoples of the world to an understanding where they believe collectively that, you know, we should get rid of international borders, countries' borders, and we all should become one nation, the United Nations of Peoples. And what this also means is that it's the bringing down of first world nations, such as the United States, down to the level of third world nations. You know, I've talked about this repeatedly in the last 20 years or longer, that the only way for the United Nations to accomplish of bringing everybody, of course, except for them and their elite, of which they are a part of, is to bringing everybody into the same financial status, is that at the rate that first world countries continue to prosper and move up, is that the third world nations will never catch up to them. It's just mathematically impossible. So what do they have to do? They have to bring down the first world nations, those being such as the European and the United States of America, which is major to it all, is because America has to be brought down. Okay, that's to bring in the New World Order. The old world order of the United States of America, being the superpower and leader of the world, has to come to an end for them to accomplish their goal. And you go, what about Trump? Well, he came in and put an end to it. Yeah, he did, but it's all a show. It's all a game. if you don't understand that Trump, being part of the elite, and he's a rich person, being part of the elite and is the president of the United States, is part and parcel to this whole thing. Don't forget, he's the one that brought in Operation Warp Speed. Need I say more? And you know, he also talked about the drain of the swamp. You need to understand that we are the swamp. That's what bringing the world into carbon neutral at its bottom line is about. Okay? We breathe out carbon as human beings. So the total elimination of the carbon footprint is depopulation and getting rid of human beings. We'll delve further into this later. But that is the objective. Also, part of this southern border crisis is to bring in civil war in the United States, which is, it's at that time that I believe that World War III will escalate into nuclear war. And you go, well, who's behind this? Well, one of the major players, it's all the rich people of Earth, but one of the major players is George Soros. Who you think gives the money to all these people that come from these other nations and from Mexico to get to the United States? They're funded by George Soros, which is just public knowledge. We've been hearing about that forever. And then we have the financial crisis. We have hyperinflation. You go, what's that all about? Well, it's all about, first we have to bring down the U.S. dollar, the petrodollar, tied to the selling of petrol fuel from the Arab nations, okay, of which Saudi Arabia is already doing that, in with China and Russia and the BRIC nations, to bring down the end of the petrodollar, which will bring in the CBDCs. You go, what's that? Well, that's the digital dollar by the central banks, which will replace the cash. And you know, our TV news agencies just recently have been talking about, well, you know, we really do need to get rid of cash. All you sidewalk vendors, you need to get rid of cash so you won't get mugged. And you know, just the average day human, citizen, that if you do away with cash and don't carry cash in your pocket, then you're less likely to be mugged. And we'll get to the credit card issue on another video as well. And they're also urging the ATMs to close down at nighttime, so which is the prominent time where people get mugged taking money out of ATMs. They're prepping us to get rid of cash, of the using of cash, and to accept the new digital currency. Now I'd like to talk about the end of the American Constitution and the freedoms that it affords us. And you go, well, what's that all about? Well, again, they're on the news that we hear about all the time, is the crime, the rampant increase of crime around the United States in the big cities, especially the blue cities, who are also wanting to lower the penalties for crimes such as theft and stealing of cars. You know, and I could go on and on about that, but we hear about that all the time. And some of the laws they just totally want to do away with. So, and as well, we hear about the defunding of the police, which only adds to this scenario of rampant crime. All right, but they've got the solution to all this, which we'll also get into another video. And then you have the lockdowns that are coming back. Yeah, the lockdowns, not necessarily from COVID, but the new pandemic that is coming, which Bill Gates just said the other day that the new pandemic coming is man-made. Like we don't already know that the last one was man-made. Oh, come on. People, we need to wake up to the truth of what's going on. So anyway, we're also going to have climate change lockdowns. And these are going to be tied to the 15-minute cities. And hopefully you've heard about that, or you need to do some research. In other words, they don't want most people to go outside 15 minutes of their city. And that gets into the social credit system of China that's been there for quite a while. And this is a part of introducing that to the United States. If you play ball with them, you're a good little citizen. And before they shut down the total internet and YouTube to extremists, of which I'm classified as such, and misinformation and disinformation, that the WEF recently, and I did a video on this, and the United Nations said that it needs to be criminalized. Those that are extremists and have misinformation and disinformation, which is subjective and arbitrary. So they're coming after those who are dissenters, and especially Christians, and that group within Christianity, which I'll talk to and have already on another video. So, what do you need to do? Well, before I get into that, let me say this. According to the Bible, God says that He's going to reveal the truth. He's going to let it all out in the open. But He's not going to make you believe it. That's where free will comes into. The Bible also says in 2 Thessalonians that because they love not the truth, He will send them strong delusion that they will believe a lie. And when He sends you strong delusion, okay, you're going to believe it. Don't fall into that category. So what do you need to do? You need to solidify, finish, if you have any, all your prepping plans, and get ready to come out of the cities on a moment's notice if you haven't already done so, into a place of safety. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and we hope to see you next time. So in closing today, I'd like to reiterate is that when you see the mainstream media talk about all of these things that will bring about the New World Order, and of course today or the last few days we've had the spy satellite from China floating across the United States, and it was shot down today. So anyway, when they talk about all these things, you know that we're getting closer and closer to civil war, the crashing of the dollar, depopulation, along with nuclear World War III, of which the Ukraine war will blossom into. So bottom line is you have to know that the United Nations is nothing more but NGOs. That's non-governmental organizations, such as the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the IMF, okay? And you go, well, what's that about? Well, they want the people, especially in the United States, but around the world, to be fed up with politicians, career politicians, and let the, quote, average citizen, or at least non-career politicians, run things, since the career politicians around the world, the kings of the earth, the presidents, so forth and so on, haven't done a very good job. They led us into nuclear World War III. So, even though, anyway, we'll talk about the rest of this in another video. So, bottom line, stay awake, stay tuned, and if you haven't already done so, disengage yourself from the system, because it's going to fall. Get into a place of safety, off the grid, okay? And do it now while you still can. Thanks for watching our video today, and if you liked the video, please hit the like button. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe and hit the notifications bell so to receive any of our new videos. And when you hit on that bell, hit on the all bell after that. And please share with any and everybody that you think needs to hear this video. And as always, hit on the description box, and for you mobile people, that will be the more button, so that you will see the links about information that was contained in this video. Well, thanks for watching. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you next time.